Welcome to the Chimney and Fireplace Success Network, a weekly broadcast sponsored by CVC Success Group, hosted each week by industry speaker, coach, author, and educator Jerry Eisenhower. Our presentations are produced to assist business owners and managers in turning their business dreams into their business realities. And now, here is your host, Jerry Eisenhower.
And I want to welcome you to another episode of the Chimney and Fireplace Success Network. This is episode number 87, and it's sponsored each and every week by CVC Success Group. And you know, as I start this podcast, we're going to call it a time of crisis, something that very few of us have ever faced in our lifetimes, and hopefully we'll never have to face it again. But for this episode, I felt that it was critical that we talked about leading in a time of crisis. And in order to do that, I brought a very good friend of mine and a mentor and a person I would depend on to help me with leadership. And that's my friend, John Meredith of Sabre Systems, a heat shield. Everybody in the industry should know who John is. Really great guy. He's out there for everybody. So, John, you ready to rock and roll forward, brother?
I am, buddy.
I hear you, man. So listen, John, as we go through this time of crisis, where as leaders, we've got to use our influence to calm people. We've got to calm ourselves, and we've got to make some really hard decisions going forward. So as a person faces these leadership challenges that are out there, what's your advice to them, John? How do you get your mind clear to where you can make the best leadership choices going forward, and how do you inspire other people?
Well, I can share you what my experiences are and how I do it, and if that's something you can glean from, that would be, I would be honored if that helps you. So the first thing that I think is important as a leader, especially of your company or your family, is people need to see calm, confident leadership right now. They need to know that there's a steady hand on the tiller. I do a little sailing, and I've been caught in some pretty bad squalls and 70-mile-an-hour winds and 9-foot seas, and up against the lee shore. And the last thing the crew needs to see is you is freaking out, running around like you're like the world's on fire. What they need to see is a steady hand on the wheel, and those you don't know what the future holds, obviously, but you can't control the storms and the direction of the wind, but you can control how you adjust your sails. And I think, when we will get through this, and this will be hopefully a distant memory in the near future, but this will change the way, my opinion, this will change the way we do business. Just like 9/11 changed the world, this will change the way we do business going forward, and the world will be different. But in that creates a lot of opportunity. So I think when if we're negative, or if we're kind of taking on the victim mentality, we're not going to be able to find the silver lining in the cloud, so to speak. So I really believe what you put behind you, you put in front of you. So I think this is a great time to certainly encourage your family, your friends, your employees, and I'm pretty sure if I wrote the song, the Willie Nelson song, you were always on my mind, it would have gone like, I am always on my mind. But I'm really trying to find ways to positively affect those around me, to try to be a bright spot, show them my appreciation. I mean, like this morning, I came into work and I'm thinking, who can I just really show my appreciation to? And I thought, these guys delivering, these truckers out there, man, they're keeping this economy moving. Without them, we wouldn't have, whatever groceries or, things would shut down. So I thought, we're going to put together some bags of, that we can hand the truckers when they come in here, to just tell them how much we appreciate them and kind of love up on them a little bit. But I think those are the kinds of things that we're trying to do right now, just to try to be a bright spot in the people that we bump up against. We're trying to reach out and touch our customers and make sure they're okay, and if they need anything. And for me, I get up every morning and I pray for divine guidance and wisdom. I certainly feel like this is a time where we all need whatever your spiritual bent is, we certainly need to draw on that. For me, I think I get a lot of solace from reading Psalm 91 when things are kind of, when you're feeling kind of weak and vulnerable. And the other thing I would recommend is we make a plan. A plan is sometimes could just be a list of things that, you wanted to do. But I think it's important when you to know, I always try to plan my work, before I leave my office, I plan the things I want to do tomorrow. And I'm right now, I'm, trying to plan for the long, medium, and short term, but, just to get through the next couple of weeks at a time. We had a meeting with our company employees yesterday, and, we said, look, if we don't have work for you, at least for the next 2 weeks, we're going to clean. We're going to have the cleanest factory in Indiana, and then we'll just look at it then. If we have to go on a work slow down or something like that, we may have to do that. But, we'll get through this. We'll survive, and, we're not going to pull the trigger and start laying people off until we absolutely have to. So plan your work your plan. That kind of, when you don't know what you should be doing, I mean, obviously the things you should be doing right now in time of crisis is, securing any cash, getting as liquid as you can, watching your expenses, obviously, but I will tell you that David always beats Goliath. And this is the Goliath in our time right now, and we're the Davids, and we don't do it with conventional weapons. If David had taken Saul's armor, and he'd have got, walked in there with the Saul's armor, the king's armor, and a sword that weighed probably half his body weight, Goliath would have clocked him. But he didn't. He didn't do it with conventional methods, and we all know the story. But so this is a time when if we remain positive, we can take advantage of the energy that comes with that, and that we'll be more creative, we'll be more motivated, energetic, we'll be more resilient, and we will get through this. And like today, we're starting to manufacture some antiviral products and things like that for other people. We're looking at doing that, and so there's it's kind of like it was in World War II. What can you do to support the war effort? So if you got a truck, maybe you could deliver meals to shut-in. If you think about what you can do to help, what you can do to encourage, I believe that you'll get the right answers, and maybe you can use the giftings and the tools that you have to be part of the solution. And I think if we all band together, I think I know we'll be fine. I mean, I kind of look at this whole thing as like World War II. I remember I was obviously alive for that, but my grandfather was a major in the medical corps, and he told me some things, and how the country just banded together and how we all made sacrifices. And I don't know if we're in that time or not, but it's sure you could certainly take your mind there if you wanted to, and I don't think it's going to be that bad. But even if it gets worse, we're all in this together. We're all going to help each other. This is our tribe. Certainly, whatever resources that we have, we want to be of help and service to our brethren in soot and in fireplace retailing, if you will. So, I'm just really actually kind of weirdly optimistic right now.
That's great. I love that. Well, John, let me ask you a question. You have some ties to the political world, and what I'm seeing right now, which gives me hope, gives me optimism, is I'm seeing for the first time in a crisis like this that I think our administration and our Congress is standing here ready to help small businesses they never have in the past. And that's one thing that encourages me in this from your aspect and your connections to people in a position of power. What are you seeing come from our administration and our Congress today?
Well, I don't know a lot more. I got invited to, a couple of days ago, the president had a conference call with business major CEOs of major corporations. today at 3:45, I'll be on a conference call with the president and I'm sure a couple other thousand guys that own small businesses, but I was honored to be invited to that. So I will know a lot more about what the administration is going to do to help small business this afternoon. That conference call at 3:45. I don't know how long it lasts. It usually lasts somewhere between half hour and 45 minutes. Can last, longer, or as briefly as 5 or 6 minutes. And so, but what I'm seeing is a willingness to work together and kind of put aside some of the bipartisanship that we've seen that's been so nasty in Washington, and really work together for the benefit of the American people. And this one thing, no matter what your politics are, the one thing that I know, because I've been on enough of these conference calls with the president, is that he has a heart for the working man. And what I love about him, whether you agree with, you may not agree with him and everything he does, but his policies are always for the guy he always thinks about, okay, who's the guy working on the factory floor and how's this going to affect him? And I appreciate that. And so what happens is he gets criticized for, because the way you do that is you keep the employers whole. It's that simple. Us as employers, if we can gainfully employ people, and I think one of the highest callings you can have is to risk your capital to provide jobs. And what I love about this administration is they recognize that as a high calling, and they try to do the best they can to come alongside business owners to in that mission. So I'm optimistic. For the first time in probably 3 years, we've actually seen our government somewhat functioning together. So I think it's all good. I think that's going to be helpful. The other thing is I've been working on, because I know a little bit more than I probably should, in the sense that, I'm close to some of these guys. I did put together, Chuck Roythouse and I worked on a letter for the industry to, be considered an essential business if things get worse. So, that's up to the governors have a lot of power in times of crisis. So the governor can shut down, various things. And so I think the letter, I don't know, have you seen the letter, Jerry?
Yes, I did. I was very impressed, John.
Okay, good. Well, that letter is something that you can send to your local authorities if you or the governor in your state. It already got sent out to each governor. Chuck Roythouse sent that letter to each governor. I sent one to my governor. I sent that letter to my governor. Got a reply last night, and he said he was going to pass it on to so and so, whoever in his administration, which I would expect that's what you would get. But my concern is that our industry plays a very valuable role in protecting, people from, some of these scenarios. Like, if your furnace flue is clogged, I mean, you're going to have carbon monoxide poisoning or gases get in your house, or, if you got a respiratory issue and you got fireplace that's smoking a little bit, or, those kind of things. So I made I think a strong case that we need to be considered essential businesses, certainly in the emergency aspect of it, where we're trying to protect people's home environment as they spend more time at home. So I think we've got a good case to keep our businesses open if they get locked down, and a lockdown can't go on forever. But I would feel comfortable that if you feel comfortable and somebody needs you, you should go. And I think that letter, if somebody says anything, that's why I wanted to get this thing kind of pre-approved, and they might come back and say, yeah, if there's an emergency, and we definitely, you need to, be there. So, we'll see how that all shakes out. You just don't know where this thing's going. But I think you need to prepare for the worst and hope for the best, and knowing that we'll get through this. I mean, I've been on the precipice of a lot of stuff over the years and experienced a lot of things, and and you certainly have, and your story is amazing, Jerry. You've kind of been drugged through the knothole backwards, and you survived, and and it came out and it kind of worked out for your benefit. And one thing I thought was interesting when we had that call the other night for that round table that you put on, and Bob Ferrari, and you were going around the room kind of asking people around that. It wasn't physical, it was an online meeting, but you were going around and asking everybody what their thoughts and comments were. I thought it was interesting, when you got to Bob Ferrari, he said, "Oh man, this is just another thing. I've lost power for 10 days, three 10-day periods, during the year. I've had pestilence and fires and droughts and and so he said, this is just another thing. And I still had my best year last year, and this is just another thing. It's like, so when these things in the events occur, they change our business DNA, and then kind of we're like, nothing else is going to phase you once you go through some really bad stuff. I mean, it's like, I've been here before. It's okay. I've gotten through it, and I'll get through it this time. So I have a lot of optimism, and I know that certainly everybody at every level, I can tell you, because I've been in a lot of conversations both with people at the state and federal level, and in our industry association, and with in my own customer group. I wrote some scripting and put out the video to give everybody some systems they can put in place to kind of maybe ease the fears that are that people are having about having you in their home if you need to go in there. And these are the kinds of things that I'm seeing that our industry is doing and our country is doing. And I think it's kind of cool because I see a lot of oars pulling in the same direction. And I think that when we get through this, man, it'll change our DNA. We'll all be better business guys, and we'll all be, I think, positioned to continue to encourage and each other. One of the things I love about our business is this industry, especially the fireplace, sweep kind of thing, is that we've always had a culture of honor, in the sense that I always go back to Bob Daniels, who kind of was the guy that kind of set the tone for this business years ago. But he did that by helping everyone, and so I think we're a very unique industry in that respect, that people are kind of been raised in the industry to help each other, and that's what I love about this business. So I'm as long as we continue to do that and do everything we can do and encourage others, and put ourselves to some useful service in our communities, I think we're going to be. You're never glad you go through these difficult times, but I'm always glad of the things I learn, the giftings that I get when I go through these, how it changes my heart or changes my perspective. I'm always glad for those things, man. I never want to go through that pain again. But I'm always thankful for what I receive when I come out the other side.
Yeah. Well, John, as you were talking, it made me think of something I saw Dave Ramsey publish today. And this is a little quote from him. And you're a prime example, because you are, in your leadership position, presenting hope. And he said the following: hope is more contagious than fear. And I think that's what we have to remember from a leadership perspective, is we have to give those that we lead hope in where we're going. We have to see something on the other side. And John, I want to congratulate you, because you're definitely a person that can do that. And I know your schedule is very hard today, and you were able to work this short interview in with me. So I want to tell you, brother, I appreciate it. Hope you'll be back someday with me, okay?
All right, man. Appreciate you. Thanks for everything you do, Jerry.
Hey, I appreciate your words, John. I appreciate you being a friend like you are. Okay. That was my good friend, John Meredith, who gave some great words of hope and inspiration. Like I said, the thing I know about John is a person that cares about his fellow man to the highest level. And when I thought about someone to bring onto this podcast this week, John came instantly to the top of the list, because John is working for the betterment of all of us. And he offers some really good words. And remember what we talked about here. You've got to lead your people through hope in these times. You've got to be able to lead them through some turbulent waters. It reminds me of when I was out on Lake Michigan this past summer and out in a boat at night with a friend of mine, and all of a sudden the fog rolled in and we could not see to the front of the boat. And then the boat had some mechanical problems, and we were really offshore in the middle of one of the Great Lakes. It was actually a very fearful time. But what I had to do at that point was trust in the captain. And you know, that captain brought that ship in, he docked it, and we came past some real hazards to some of the foggiest nights I'd ever seen in my life. And that might be what we're looking at now. This is a fog. It makes it real hard to think clearly. But remember, what we've got to do is we've got to lead those with our influence. People will depend on us to hold our paranoia down, and where we can exhibit true leadership skills through the time of crisis that we're living with right now. And with that, I want to thank you for joining me here today on the Chimney and Fireplace Success Network, brought to you every week by the CVC Success Group. My name's Jerry Eisenhower. It's an honor and it's a privilege and it's a pleasure to be able to speak to you each week on our podcast. Let us know how we can help you through both these turbulent times and also to turn your business dreams into your business realities. Talk to you next week. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for joining us here each week at the Chimney and Fireplace Success Network, sponsored by CVC Success Group, providing you the coaching and educational outreach services you need to move to your dream destination in business and in life.